Morning, everybody. Hi, my name is Fumi Beatrice, and welcome to episode 2, I believe. I'm sorry I didn't film a lot for last episode. It's just the camera I banked on using for filming for the vlog is not working at the moment, so I have to go back to using my phone. And it's not like I can't use my phone, but just because that camera would serve as like a separate storage space outside of my phone, and I can kind of use my phone for like, downloading stuff for essays or whatever. But it's okay. Sometimes things don't work according to your plan, and that's fine. So today I don't have class, but I have a training, and it's called transfer training. So if you're not ICU related, you might be wondering like, why do you need to be transfer trained? But just because of how sick our patients are, especially when they first come into us, you kind of have to be trained on how to transfer a patient out of the ICU. So if they're going for investigations, or maybe for like IR or to the theaters, and you have to be the one to transfer them, you have to be trained on how to take care of the patients along the way, take care of the machines, what to look out for, and if anything happens on the way, kind of what to do. So, and then also if you're transferring the patients out of the hospital also. So yeah, today is my transfer training. We'll see how that goes. After today, I can't say, oh, I'm not transfer trained anymore. You have to be the one. I probably will see you guys after the transfer training, just because I don't think I'll be able to film while we are doing the training. But I'll see you guys after, and then we can have some chats. And today is Monday, by the way. I'll have class again on Wednesday of this week, but I'm not sure exactly how this vlog should go. Should I only film on class days, or should I just film every day, and then I can sieve out the important bits that relates to the Postgrad ICU course? We'll see how it goes. It's still a bit confusing. People that vlog though, have to say a big shout out to them. People that know that vlogging is their niche, because when you are vlogging, at least from the times I have vlogged, sometimes it feels like, oh, what should I be vlogging? Should I cover everything? But from the last time I vlogged, I wish that I'd actually covered everything, because if you cover everything, then when you are editing, you can sieve out the bits that are not important and put in the bits that are important. But if you don't vlog everything, when you're editing, you'll be like, oh my god, and that happened, I should have covered that. So maybe that's what I'll just do for this vlog also. I'll just vlog everything, and then when I'm editing, I can put in the bits that are connected to the ITU course or being like an ITU nurse, and I can remove the bits that are not connected. So anyway, it's already time for me to go to work and do my training. And I'll catch up with you guys later on what went down during the transfer training. Bye. Hi guys, so we're on a short break, and so far we've done like the theoretical aspect of transfer training, like going through the accept framework. I will put what accept means on the screen. But yeah, we went through the accept framework and just like the theoretical part of transfer training, and we had a simulation of preparing a patient for transfer, and that was very interesting. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys like simulations? Because simulations can be quite funny. So simulation is like a different environment that is supposed to mimic like the ITU environment, and they give you roles on what to do. And with simulations, it's like, okay, do I wait for instructions to do something, or do I just act without any instructions? And like, let's say you have to take an ABG. Do I pretend to take the ABG and say, oh, ABG taking, or do I actually take the ABG? Yeah, that's why I think simulations are can be a bit tricky, but I think this one went well. We all kind of worked together, and later the instructors were like, oh, this one went well with the simulation, and this what thing this is what could be improved on. But basically the simulation was just about like preparing a patient for transfer. So you walk in, they give you like handover of the patient, and then I volunteered to be like the nurse looking after the patient, and I assessed the patient, and I had 3 other people who we were working together, and it's kind of like assigning roles. Oh, can you help me do this? Can you help me do this? Can you inform the doctor about this? And then the doctor came over later, or the AACP came over later and was like, oh yeah, I'm going to be the person in charge of transfer airway wise, and let's go over the checklist and stuff like that. So that went well. Then after that, we went for the next one was like how to calculate, like if you were transferring a patient, especially outside of the hospital, the formula to calculate how much oxygen you need for that transfer. And let me see if I can bring out my, oh yeah, because I like to write. So minute volume plus driving gas times transfer time in minutes, then times FiO2, and you should always consider the FiO2 to be 1, because you might be transferring a patient and you need to transfer on 100%, or at some point, maybe you left and the patient's FiO2 is on like 40%, but then along the line you have to increase it to 100%, or you have to give like bolus, oxygen bolus. So you have to consider that the FiO2 is 1. So that was the what's it called, the formula to calculate how much oxygen you need for the transfer. So that was interesting, and I was able to at least understand that a little bit better. And then we did like training on how to use the Oxylog machine and the Hamilton machine. So I know like each trust is different, but where I work, if you are transferring for like CT scans and like other investigations, you would use the Oxylog 3000. But if you have to go to MRI, you would use the Hamilton, because that is the MRI compatible ventilator. So they taught us how to like use the Oxylog and MRI, and how to do like the self-test or the device testing when you use them. So that was good. So I hope I don't forget all these things, because now when I go back to the ward, I'm going to have to like pick up transfers and be the nurse in charge when I'm transferring my patients, basically. So yeah, and I'm just taking a little break, and after that we have some legal something which I will gist you guys about when I'm done. So yeah, that's it. I hope you guys are having a good day, because I am. So it's like 10 minutes to 11 in the morning, and we're just like on a coffee break. Yeah, and then by 11 o'clock we'll go in for the next session or the next class. Yeah, and I think the next class is just talking about like legal issues around transfer, and that's it. See you later. Hi guys, so I'm done with 2 sessions now. We had break first of all, and I was so hungry that I sort of inhaled my food. But after that, we then had the simulation, kind of mimicking like a out of hospital transfer. So kind of where you're doing like a transfer with like the ambulance crew and things like that, and just things to note when you're transferring. Like it could be like you might be transferring a patient out of like one branch of your trust to another branch of your trust, or you might be transferring a patient out of like your hospital to like another hospital totally. So we just did a simulation kind of making that. And I think like the important thing to note is like when you are in the ambulance, when you are all strapped, your patient is strapped, you're like belted, and the patient deteriorates, do not stand up. Because like if there's an alarm, I feel like the first instinct is to stand up, but apparently there have been like cases where people in the past have been hurt because they stood up abruptly in an ambulance. And the way an ambulance moves, they drive fast, they could swerve, and you could hit yourself and cause trauma and injury to yourself. So don't stand up in an ambulance. Yeah, that's something to note and always remember. And I'm speaking to myself also, because when things happen, I tend to act out of instincts instead of like thinking about it and like taking the right step. So the next session, we kind of talked about like the transfer bag for our trust, the way it's set up and what to expect inside. So that wasn't totally new because I've come across the transfer bag before. I've had to stock it up when, you know, especially when it's time for the monthly check. So I'm kind of a bit familiar with it, but, you know, now that I'm going to be doing transfers myself, you know, you want to be more familiar with the transfer bag. And the other thing, we talked about was the suction. So the suction that, you know, goes with the stack, just like how to do a safety check on it. So that's it. We've got one more session, I believe, or two more sessions. We're on a bit of break now, so that's why I'm able to talk to the camera. But we've got one more session or two more sessions, and then we call it a day. I have to say though, so far, I'm kind of enjoying the transfer journey. I'm not sure how much I'll be enjoying transfer in real life, but the simulations have really been good, and the instructors have, you know, they've been good and patient with us. So I'll update you after the next session or after the next two sessions. Bye. Hi everyone. So I'm done with today's training session. So we had majorly just like one session after when last I spoke with you guys. So basically in the last session we talked about, like, you know, ambulance transfer, but just like what to expect, the kind of ambulance that kind of cater to our own network, where we are, and you know, like a bit of the nitty-gritty when it comes to like ambulance transfer, you know, like what part of the ambulance service also caters to like the critical care, and what happens when you have to book an ambulance outside of their working hours and things like that. So that's what we kind of talked about. And then we talked about MRI transfer. So in my trust, if you're going for like CT and stuff like that, you use the Oxylog. But if you're going for MRI transfer, you use the Hamilton. And I have heard that in some other trusts, they use the Hamilton for heavy transfer. I guess the Hamilton is a bit, it looks more user-friendly. It, you know, has more options and stuff like that. But we only use the Hamilton for MRI transfer. So, but just things to, you know, expect in general with an MRI transfer, not just using the Hamilton, like, you know, some of the equipment we use are not MRI compatible. So apparently, there is a symbol like MR on equipment that tell you whether they are MR compatible or not. So like, the closed inline suction we use in my trust is not MRI compatible. The ECG LEDs, obviously. What was the other one? You see, now I'm forgetting things that they just taught us. And then you also kind of have to change the infusion lines. Not to say like the infusion lines are not compatible, but the pumps we use to, you know, pass the infusions are not compatible with MRI. So when you go for MRI, the pumps are stationed outside, and we have to get these spiral infusions that are a bit longer and flexible, and then you attach like 3 of them and you connect them to the infusion, so just for length. So that's kind of what we do in my trust. And then also just confirming, you know, the patient is not wearing any rings and stuff like that, and confirming also with their prosthesis, because like some of the prosthesis that were put in a very long time ago might not be MRI compatible. Some of the pacemakers the patients might have might not be MRI compatible. And if they have an ICP bolt, it is generally preferred that, you know, they don't go for the MRI at all, because apparently I learned that some ICP bolts are considered MRI compatible and some are not considered MRI compatible. But it doesn't matter, because either ways, whether it's MRI compatible and they go into the MRI scan with it, it could eat up and cause severe damage and injury to the patient. So just, you know, the nitty-gritty of, you know, MRI, and also just realizing that, you know, when you get a slot for MRI, it's kind of like a very precious, important slot, and you want to like make sure you've prepared enough in order to go for the investigation, because it's actually also a very lengthy investigation. I think it takes about 1 hour when you are in there or stuff like that. But also the people who will be doing the investigation are also very knowledgeable about these things. They will tell you what is not compatible. So when you get to the investigation, when you get to the place, they would give you like, MRI compatible ECG leads, MRI compatible arterial. Oh yeah, what I was trying to remember was even the arterial line we use in the ward or in our ICU is not MRI compatible. So when you go over to the MRI, they would give you an MRI compatible arterial line, or they might ask you to temporarily disconnect or clamp the arterial line while they do the MRI. So kind of like things to watch out for. And then what was the last thing the last thing we talked about was ECMO. We don't do ECMO in where I work, but we do transfer patients to London for ECMO, and just talking about like what to expect if your patient is going to be transferred to London for ECMO and things like that. And that was the end of my transfer training session. It was actually quite good. Yeah. So it's kind of the end of the day, and I'll see you next time. Actually, I'm not going home. I'm actually going to my friend's place, and she's also on the course, so maybe I'll be able to film that and vlog that if she allows me to. So see you guys next time. Bye. And she's preparing poundo yam for me. And as the Ekiti girl that I am, I never say no to poundo yam. I might not know how to cook it, but I know how to eat it. Hi guys, so I'm in my friend's place, and I've been here since like the end of the training, and just hanging out here. So she just joined the course this September, and I've been on the course since January this year or February this year. So I just came to like put her through on like some of the parts of the university's websites, and as a thank you, she cooked for me. And I always say that the way to my heart is through my stomach, and she understands this very well. So she cooked for me. Just gonna show you. So we've got poundo yam and ogbono soup and meat and water, and even like this is a tangerine right here, tangerine. So this is love. And also I'm watching Elio. This is like, this is the dream. There's nothing better. Eating one of my favorite food and watching cartoons. That's what I do best. Yo. Alright guys, I am home, and that's it for today. I hung out at my friend's place a little longer than I thought I would, but it was all fun. And I watched Elio. Yeah, nice movie, nice Disney movie. I guess Elio is just about friendship and family, and being sincere with people. That's what Elio is about. But I finally got to watching it, and that's it for today. See you tomorrow, or maybe Wednesday when it's time for class. Bye for now. Hi guys, so today is Tuesday, and I'm not really doing anything related to the course today. I actually filmed a YouTube video that is going to come out on Saturday, and basically I'm going to spend like the rest of the day probably editing the video and making a thumbnail for the video. Tomorrow is Wednesday, so tomorrow we have class, and I'll try to shoot tomorrow. I really want to make this Postgrad ICU, course vlog, so I want this to be something that I'm committed to. Basically that's what I'm going to be doing today, and I'm not filming today because it's not related to like ICU course, so I'm not sure if it's something you want to see. And because I just have only one camera now, I can only work with like my phone. My DJI Action 5 Pro is kind of down at the moment and needs to go in for repairs, so I don't have a second camera to film myself filming with the phone, if you get what I mean. But it's fine, it's cool. Yeah, that's it. Hope you guys are good and having a great day. See you tomorrow. Hi guys, today is Wednesday and it's class day and I'm late. This is one of my classmates and colleagues, Deva. Yeah, and we are in class right now, so I'll see you guys later. Wow. Hi guys, so I'm back from class, and today, what did we learn today? That is a very good question. So today in class, we studied about some of the physiology behind the respiratory system. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense, but it's been a long day, so just try to let it make sense. So we kind of studied like the physiology behind the respiratory system and like the physiology behind the cardiovascular system, but just at like a higher level. And in today's class, there was just like a lot of physics involved. And this is kind of the part where I struggle with. When I decided to study nursing, in my head, I must have thought, it would just be biology, maybe a little bit of chemistry, maybe some biochemical reactions going on in there. But why does physics have to be entangled with everything in life? Why? And I really don't enjoy the parts where physics gets entangled with health. And today's class was basically like, yeah, I know we're talking about the physiology like behind the respiratory system and cardiovascular system, but it was a lot of physics involved. Why am I seeing equations in health? I mean, yeah, there has to be equations, but bruh, it was a lot. In fact, it's like I have to go and reflect on what we were taught before I can fully understand it. I mean, I understood some concepts that were being taught right there in class, but some other concepts, I was lost. I was lost. Let me see if I can open the slides. So, okay, this slide is talking about like, transportation of gases and like internal respiration. And then this other one is talking about also like the physiology behind external respiration, internal. In fact, the physiology behind the whole idea of like gas exchange is kind of what we talked about today. And there were a lot of terminologies, a lot of laws, Frank Starling laws, a lot of equations in today's class. So it's a lot. It was a lot for me. And we also talked about like where's the cardiovascular one? Yeah. Talked about, cardiovascular physiology and just like, the oxygen delivery, oxygen demand and all that kind of stuff. So it was a lot. I actually hoped that I would be able to schedule, not I hoped. So I kind of scheduled a time slot with my instructor today, a little bit after class, but I went home and I thought it would be online, but he didn't attend the online scheduling. So that's fine. I'll just schedule another time. And why I scheduled the time was just because I wanted to talk about, what I was going to do for the case study, if it was good enough. So I kind of have a case in mind. But I just, want to make sure like it's good enough, and I'll be on track if I start, so that I don't start something and then someone sees it later and it's like, oh no, I don't think that's what's going to put you on the right track. So yeah, so that was class today. I wish I could go into more detail about what we did, what we learned, but I don't totally understand it myself, so maybe I'll go into more detail when I get to like reflect on it. But what do I have in mind? I'm thinking of doing like a case study about a TBI patient, and maybe for TBI I could like focus on like the ICP management. I don't know yet. I don't know. Before I do it, I just wanted to talk with my instructor and say this is where I was thinking of going, blah blah blah. Or I guess another thing was like doing something on like respiratory failure, just like the aspect of proning in respiratory failure. But we'll see. We'll see. And maybe while I go to work, I would still find another patient that I'll be interested in their diagnosis and in their treatment, and I would choose that over what I already have in mind. So we pray to God that as I continue to go to work, I would find more interesting cases. And that's it, guys. That's what happened today. It was a long day, basically because of all the physics involved in what they taught us today, and I do not enjoy physics. Right from secondary school, I knew I did not like physics. Like when it came to like science courses, I liked maths. I liked, biology. I would say maybe chemistry next, but like physics was like my least favorite science subjects. But it keeps coming back to haunt me. I thought I ran away from it. It keeps coming back to haunt me all the time. But you have to say though, physics is kind of intertwined with a lot of areas in life, so it's like you can't escape it, especially if you're still in like the science world. Well, at the end of the day, I'm the one that said I wanted to do the IT course and become like a critical care specialist. I could be married to a rich man and not need to do all this. But that's it for today, guys. I probably will just relax and have a nice evening. Then tomorrow, I'm not sure what I wanted to do tomorrow, but I'm working night shift tomorrow and I'm working night shift the day after. And then I have the weekend free. Hope you guys are enjoying the weather. It's colder. Autumn is setting in, and the way it's cold is even making me scared for winter. I feel like this winter this year is going to be really cold. I feel like winter this year too, I'm going to just wear a wig throughout. I don't know yet, but we'll see. I feel that's what I'm going to have this wig on throughout winter. I'll just braid my natural hair and keep it tucked in during the winter period, because you guys know how winter is always cold and dry. My hair will just be tucked in under this wig for winter, and then when it's spring, I'll let it come back out and flourish. But we'll see how it goes. I'm hoping that I really start like my case study either like end of this week, or at least at the most rather next week. Like I really need to start, because before you know it, if you don't start on time, time flies fast. I mean, and it's not just like case study. I also have to do like a rehab presentation also. So it's like 2 assignments this module. So I really need to start on time and get my ass moving. But I also want to put all my thoughts together and make sure like I'm in the right headspace to start. So I think what I'm going to do this week is I'm going to try and book another time with my instructor and say, this is where I'm thinking of going. Are you happy with it? Should I proceed? If he says yes, we start. If he says no, I don't really think that's good enough, we go back to the drawing board. That's what this is. But yeah, that's it for today.